Let's talk about why Windows 11 sucks so much. Windows 11 is the newest version of Windows. We went from Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 99, Windows XP. There was some sort of version between XP and Vista. Then we got Vista. Then we got Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, 8.2, Windows 10. And then we got Windows 11. And one thing that stood out in every single version is that there was quality control. Everything felt polished. Windows XP was seamless. Windows 7 was perfect. Windows 8 had its bugs. We don't talk about Windows Vista. Windows 10 was okay. While it wasn't a better experience than Windows 7, the user general experience was good. You're kidding yourself if you're saying that it was bad. It was good. Let's talk about what happened in Windows 11. Windows 11 came in a time when there was management change. And one of the things that management likes to do, I'm just talking in general. I'm not talking about if it happened or not. I'm just assuming everything I say from here on out is just me talking, expressing my feelings. This isn't me actually saying as if I know anything. I don't. But the reason why everything feels so good is because they have something called quality assurance engineers. These are people whose jobs is to test and look for every single bug that a user will experience in a general use. You're not going to find everything when you're doing QA testing. There's an advanced version of that called automation engineers. That's a whole different field. Well, not really. It's just like an expansion on, I think it's called the load. I don't know. It's been such a long time since I was in that field. But the point is, automation is just a better version of QA testers. QA testers is a person, you get some sort of code, you run through it as if you're a user, because you are a user, and your job is to write down what went wrong and what steps you did to get that wrong thing. Now, it feels like since we went off to Windows 11, there's a lot of vibe coding going around. Vibe coding, I wouldn't say it's better or worse, lazy or not. What it is, it's very different. And when you have vibe coders, they tend to just ignore quality assurance. It's just a fact. They check if it works on their own machine and they pass it along to production. That's just how it is. I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody's feelings. I'm just saying it as it is. What does that mean? Well, what that means is you get a product that is only tested on a bunch of coders' device that is not optimized usually for everybody else's devices. Now, we went through 2 months where every single time we tried to use Windows 11, it would lose all memory because there's a lot of memory leaking, and it would basically keep all the cache, it would overwrite everything, and they tried to find a solution. The solution kind of worked, and it kind of didn't. Let me explain. It just decides to let go of any tasks that you're doing. If you're not using it for like 2 hours, you can come back after 2 hours. It's going to let go of the task. Now, let's say I have a web page open. I want that web page opened. It's going to just let it go against your will. That's fine. But for some reason, you will find that a bunch of other background stuff that you don't want running, like a bunch of Windows checkers, Copilot. A lot of people like to say they use Copilot. I've never met a person who uses Copilot in real life. I mean, people use ChatGPT, Cloud, they use Grok, they even use a third party. I don't meet people who use Copilot. And for some reason, Copilot is always running. They're trying to push this new AI assistant that nobody asked for. Nobody wants to use Copilot because Copilot feels extremely invasive, at least to me. It feels like a spy that I didn't invite into my house that is just taking all of my information. I'm scared to death to buy anything from this computer now because I'm afraid that Microsoft is spying on me and it's going to use it. If I want to use my credit card for anything, I feel like I have to go on a second device that does not have Windows 11 and I have Copilot not on it. That's how I buy stuff these days. I don't buy it from a computer that has Windows 11. I feel like it feels so invasive because it's always there. It's always in the background. I don't have control over Copilot. Copilot feels like it's an uninvited guest that nobody wanted. When you add up every single element that I brought up in this discussion so far, you're going to feel like Windows 11 is just a uninvited forced guest upon us. And now you can't use Microsoft with it offline, apparently. I read it on Twitter somewhere that you won't be able to use it in an offline mode, which is what made it so good, Windows 10 and Windows 11. If I want to revert back to Windows 10, I'll buy a Windows 10 license, and I'm going to want to use Windows 10, but they're not going to let me. It's just so frustrating. Every single decision that Microsoft makes me pray that somebody's going to work on a better and a version that's easily integrated into your day-to-day life of Linux. Linux feels like it's going to be the future. It just does. We use it for our Androids. We use it for our Samsung fridges. We use it for a lot of things that you would not believe that we use it for. If it's already going to be the future, I say go right ahead. I'd rather use something that doesn't feel invasive than use something that feels invasive. And Microsoft lately feels like everything they're doing is invasive. And let's roll back the tape a little bit, because I want to say something. Why were they able to make Windows 95 feel perfect? 97, I think, 98, 99, there were different versions every year. Every single version that they made up until now worked perfectly. Windows 10 worked. Windows 7 worked. Even the Windows 8s worked. They were not optimized for use. They were made for tablets. If I remember correctly, Windows 8s were made for tablets that just did not take off. People don't really use tablets as much as people thought they would. I remember when they made Windows 8, people were like, oh, people are going to ditch their PCs and everybody's going to use tablets in the future. We're in the future. Nobody uses tablets as much as they use their PCs. I'm just saying, in the future, in the very, very, very near future, the amount of people ditching Windows because of its invasiveness is going to go higher and higher and higher. You're about to see people going like, okay, let me show you how to do this, and it's going to be Linux background. And not only is it going to be Linux background, you're going to get 20,000 comments explaining their problem with what's going on their version. They're going to say, oh, I used Linux Cherry, I used Linux Watermelon. I don't know what different names of version. I know there's Ubuntu. I know some of the versions. I've used Ubuntu in the past on an old device. I used it for like 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is an over exaggeration. I used it for 10 days, and it just didn't feel like the right fit for me back in the day. We're talking 14 years ago, I believe. It was 14 years ago when I tried using Ubuntu. Every day, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer and closer to saying, yeah, let's use Ubuntu again. Let's use Cherry. Let's use whatever's going to be the popular version. I'm gonna look online for a version that feels like it fits me. And not only if it fits me, if it's popular. Remember, if you're going to move to a new system, it better be popular because everybody's going to be making tutorials for that popular new version. They're going to make programs for that popular new version. It's not about what they say that we need to use. It's about what we say we need to use. You're also going to see a future where people are just using Windows 11, ditching Windows 11 on purpose, just so that they can use it through some sort of virtual machine if they want to change everything. Like, virtual machines might be the future of how people use Windows. I'm not even kidding. And if you're using virtual machines to navigate your day-to-day life tasks on your PC, you might as well just move to a different operating system. That's it. That's a rant. Thanks for listening.